Hey guys, today I'm back with part two of the Get to Know Me series, The Psychology Studies, by the psychologist Arthur Aaron. So I have part two of the questions. For those of you who are just turning in, this was part of a psychological study that claimed that two people could figure out if they were right for each other or fall in love with each other by asking each other a set of 36 questions. So this is part two. I think there's three parts to this, so let's go ahead and just get started. Question number one. I've got my questions on my phone down here, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. If a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know? I think probably most of what I would want to know would be like financial things. I'm a big planner when it comes to planning and budgeting. I like to know, how much I have to spend and what my bills are going to be and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel a lot more comfortable when I know that I'm doing well financially. So I think a lot of my questions would be along the lines of like, what's going to happen this month? Am I going to have unexpected car expenses or health expenses or things like that, just so I would have an advanced idea of what to budget for. Because a lot of times I'll save some money up and decide I want to buy something with it, and then I have to go to the doctor or I have to get my car fixed or something else comes up that I end up having to spend that money on instead. So I think it would be cool to kind of know those types of things. I don't think I'd want to know, big things like when am I going to die, or who would I marry, or if I'm going to have kids or not. I think that's kind of part of the joy of life, is just kind of taking it one day at a time. So for me, it would be all about budgeting and future financial decisions and maybe the weather. I hate winter weather and driving in the snow and that kind of stuff. So it would be nice to have a weather forecast that was actually legitimate, and I could say, okay, is it really going to snow tomorrow? And because I commute for work, that's usually a concern where I think about, am I going to have to drive home in this kind of weather? So it would just probably be, small little things like that. Next question. Is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a long time? And if so, why haven't you done it? Actually, joining YouTube is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just recently started a few months ago. I've actually been wanting to do this for several years now. The main reason why I didn't do it sooner was because I worked in a job that kind of put limitations on social media and what they would allow us to participate in, I guess you could say. We weren't allowed to, I was a teacher, and we weren't allowed to have things like Facebook and YouTube and stuff where our students could access it, but their parents could not. So there was a lot of blurred lines as far as like what's okay and what isn't. I actually had a mass media class where we created a YouTube channel for the class. But for myself personally, I just kind of wasn't sure what the ramifications would be. If I had a YouTube channel and my students were following me, I didn't know if that would be considered inappropriate or not based off of our social media guidelines, and so I kind of stayed away from it a little bit. And also because I was really camera shy, I kind of had hang-ups about putting myself on camera. Now that I've been doing it for a little while, it doesn't really bother me at all. My only issue with it is I wish I would have done it sooner, because it's a lot of fun and I'm really enjoying myself. Next question. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life? I guess my master's degree. That was pretty tough. I actually finished college, went to work, and then decided I wanted to get a master's degree and went back to school, and it was not ideal for me to just be a full-time student. I wanted to be able to have a job. I was used to having full-time income, and so I worked full-time while I was going to school full-time. And commuting back and forth, and I had an internship thrown in there. There was one semester where I had a full-time job, a full-time course load, and a part-time internship, and that was really, really challenging for me. So the fact that I completed that and did really well and got really good grades, I would say that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments. Next question. What do you value most in a friendship? When I think about my friends, the first thing that comes to mind is that I can just be myself around them. I'm a little bit on the weird side compared to most people. I get a lot of people who tell me that I'm weird, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I know. Here I am. It is what it is. So when I have those really good friends where I know that I can, just be myself, I don't have to hold back, I can do or say, whatever's on my mind, and they're not going to judge me and they're going to understand me. I had a situation with a friend one time where she was like, I need to tell you something. But I'm afraid that after I tell you this, that you might not want to be my friend anymore. And it ended up being not that big of a deal. But that's the kind of thing where I'm like, I never want to have to feel that way. I want to be able to just completely be me and for my friends to just accept me the way that I am. So I guess the biggest thing would just be acceptance, taking people at face value for who they are and not expecting them to change or to be anything that they're not. Next question, what is your most treasured memory? I'd have to say probably, that's a tough one. I feel like there's a lot of memories from my childhood that were really great and, just kind of special things, just those little moments with family. Probably maybe when my nephew was born. I would say that would be a pretty big deal for our family. And I'm just really attached to him, and he's pretty cool. So that's probably one of my most treasured recent memories. Next question, what is your most terrible memory? Someone died, and that's all I'm going to say about that. It's just never good when someone you love is taken away from you, and that's probably the most terrible thing that I've been through in my life. So, next question. If you knew that in 1 year you would die suddenly, would you change anything about the way you are now living and why? Absolutely. I feel like if I had that future where I just knew in a year I'm not going to be here, there's a lot of things I would do differently. Just because I have that bucket list of stuff I want to do before I die, and I would probably work less and spend more time with family and friends and just make a list of all the things I want to do and include as many people that I cared about as possible. And not worry about, making money and buying material things and stuff like that. It would definitely be all about experiences because that's really what life is all about. So definitely, if I knew for sure that I was going to die, my whole life would probably be completely different. Let's see. Number 20, I feel like this is kind of similar to a couple questions back. What does friendship mean to you? Friendship just means, being able to be completely yourself around someone and someone who accepts you with all of your flaws and loves you because of them and not in spite of them. And someone who's loyal. My biggest thing with friendships is my best friend and I have been friends for over 20 years. And that's really cool for me to kind of have those childhood memories and have the grown-up memories and still have that connection. I feel like longevity is really important because a lot of friends in my life have unfortunately come and gone, and there are times when I really miss them and I'm not in contact with them anymore, and so it's kind of sad to think about the people that aren't in my life. So definitely friendship to me is a lifelong thing. Next question, what roles do love and affection play in your life? This is awkward. If I were actually answering this as another person, it might come off the wrong way. I feel like I've been single for a long time, so I don't really have a lot of romantic love in my life, but I do have a love of my friends and my family, so that kind of stuff. I guess that's the kind of more familial, friendly kind of love that I have rather than romantic right now. Next question. It says alternate sharing something you consider a positive characteristic of your partner and share a total of 5 items. So if you were doing this with another person, then you're supposed to go back and forth and say 5 positive things about each other, which we obviously can't do here. So some of the stuff on the studies doesn't always, work when you're just talking to a camera. Next question. How close and warm is your family? Do you feel your childhood was happier than most other people's? I'm very, very close with my parents and my siblings and my grandparents, just kind of like my immediate family. Like I've said in previous videos, I don't know what I would do without them, so that's definitely My extended family, not so much. A lot of them are kind of spread out and live other places, so we don't get to see each other very often. But it's always a good time when we can go visit them, for sure. Was my childhood happier than most other people's? I have no idea. I feel like I definitely had a pretty good childhood. There wasn't any, tragic thing like abuse or neglect or anything that, a lot of people unfortunately have to deal with. So I feel like I was very fortunate in that sense. I don't know if I was happier or not. I was a very, very anxious child, and I worried about weird things that were not important. I still kind of struggle with just worrying about stuff that you don't really need to be worrying about. For example, it might snow tomorrow, and since I commute for work, I'm concerned that I might have to drive home in it, and so I'm like stressed out and worrying about it, and it's probably going to be less than an inch, and I'll get home and it'll be fine, and then I'll be laughing at myself for stressing out and worrying. So that's kind of something that I dealt with as a child as well, and it's kind of awkward when you don't really understand yourself and you know that you're like stressed out and anxious and worried, but you don't know what anxiety is or why you feel that way. So me personally, I don't know if I would necessarily say that I was happier than other children in my childhood. I had a pretty good childhood. I just, was a little bit neurotic with my unnecessary worrying and stress, which is something that I'm kind of still working on as an adult. And that is the end of set 2. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know me a little bit better. I've got some product reviews and things that I'm going to be doing for you in future videos. There is one more group of questions, so that will be set 3, and we'll get into that next week. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe, and feel free to comment below if you have any suggestions for future videos, or if there's anything, any of the questions that you would like to answer, feel free to answer those, and maybe we can start a dialogue. That might be fun for me to get to know you guys a little bit better as well. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.